But in this video, I'm going to be showing you how I use AI 5 different ways to help me with my creativeness and also my client interactions when it comes down to me doing video. I'm going to show you one, how it helps me for understanding what my client actually needs. Number two, I'm going to show you how I use it to analyze my deliverables and also my competitiveness. Number three, I'm going to show you how I use it as a project manager, because believe it or not, with video work, it is all about the project management, how we moving the video from the conception of the video idea until the execution, until the deliverables, because if it's falling apart somewhere in there, something's not right. And number four, I'm going to show you how I use it for interview questions when I'm actually on site to make sure the interview questions are going according to the North Star of that particular video. And number five, I'm going to show you how I use it for storyboarding and creative direction. Even though it's not taking replacement of me, it's just aiding me in my storyboarding and also the creative direction that I have for the video by just giving me certain tweaks. So let's get into it. So let's go with number one, and how I use it for client understanding. Usually when I'm on the phone with my client and I have an iPhone, what I usually do is just have the call recorded. And I usually just explain to them like, hey, so-and-so, just to let you know this call is going to be recorded. And gratefully, iPhone now has this feature where you hit the button and it will say it out. They'll say, hey, this call is being recorded. And I just get the acknowledgement, and then we just have a free flowing conversation from there. I really like this option because a lot of times when you're on the line with clients, you're jotting things down. Maybe you're in the car, maybe you're trying to record all these things into your memory, and then you're trying to regurgitate it all out later on. But I find it much easier to have the phone call recorded, or if you're on a Zoom, just to take that Zoom conversation and just have it transcribed and then place it into my AI software. For me, I use both ChatGPT and also Claude. But for this part, we're just going to stick with ChatGPT. Once I have the call not transcoded, but transcribed from the phone call, I then place it into ChatGPT and just, again, accent my particular framework. Now, again, just pulling out the things that the client requested inside the video, pulling out different things as far as what deliverables they're looking for, pulling out different things as far as the avatar that they're looking to after, in this case here, and the overall feel of the video. Once I have that and I put it in chat, that gives me like the rich information to make sure that I can ask questions like, hey, in this conversation, did you hear a pain point as far as what the client is dealing with? Is there anything else that I may have missed in the questions that I was asking back to the client? Maybe any follow-up questions I could send to him by email right now, just before I send this quote. I have chat just go through and just analyze and scrub that script for anything that I possibly need. And then as a bonus tip, when it does that, I said, hey, if there's a questionnaire that you may have on your website, if it sees that it's having these same questions asked, that you're constantly having that same type of conversation with multiple clients, then that could be on a frequent asked question portion of your website. So you're answering the question for them and they're self-qualifying themselves before they even get to you. So that's right there, just genius right there, and the bulk of recording that conversation. The other thing that I have chat do once it gets that transcript in, and then it spits out all the things that I need to know in the conversation, what the client is asking. It then puts together just the internal tasks that I need for myself and my team. Like, who's going to be working on what, based off me training my chat as far as saying who does what inside the company. And it also just explains to me like different things that I may need. Like if they say, hey, we want to film at one of the most famous buildings in, let's say, a particular city, it's going to start giving me different things as far as what I need to look for, as far as if there's a permit that I may need, or there's a contact that I may need, just to give me those things that I may not be expecting right now. And finally, I have it draft up, just an email to the client, just recapping the things that we're talking about. Now, again, I don't just copy and paste that right into an email. I then look it over, I then tweak it, I make sure that it sounds more personal to me, and I do have my chat to do that. However, sometimes, not sometimes, but you always should go back in and just don't copy and paste things from ChatGPT, because most of the time people can tell. Just don't do that. Just don't do that at all. So for all the client understanding of just having that transcript and placing in the chat and using AI to just pull out as much valuable information that you need, that is gold. We're going into like using AI for my deliverables and also the competitiveness. And what I mean by competitiveness, I usually have it just search within my area, different things as far as like different websites to see if there's information out there as far as what competitors are offering. But for the most part, what I just like to do is make sure that I place all my deliverables in there and see if there's any loopholes in what I'm offering based off what they're asking for. A lot of the qualifying questions that I may have when I'm on the phone call is like, where's the video gonna live? How many videos or how many posts are you guys looking to have? Is this part of an overall campaign? Because again, if they have an overall campaign that they're delivering and you have it set in your mind that you want to make 10 reels or 5 reels from it, they're not looking for reels. They're looking for like a full, robust video that they could place on LinkedIn and YouTube and such like that. They're not looking for reels. They're not looking for verticals. So that's one way I just say, hey, what the qualifying questions that I'm asking them during the first conversation is, where exactly is this going to live? And then go from there based off my deliverables. The other thing that I will have the AI do is based off my past deliverables in past conversations with clients similar or asking the similar task at hand. I then go ahead and just make sure that, again, the deliverables that I offered from before on one client, does that suit or does that fit with this client? And then we can make a move faster to get the quote out based off that. The whole point here is to make sure that we're remaining competitive and also we're giving deliverables that they actually need. But the joy of this, having AI kind of like mixed into the bunch, it's not a cookie cutter, like say every client exactly the same and they get the same thing. That is great for repetition. And most of the time they fit into this box. But if you have one that's a little bit more unique or is more of a high profile and you need to tweak it just a little bit, this is where I use AI to help me with it. Because believe it or not, with the questions and also the answers that they're giving and start asking about those pain points, this is where you really like literally strike a home run back home to the client, because again, you're giving them exactly what they wanted, exactly what they were thinking. And a lot of times we may not notice or we may not catch it, we may not pick up on it because we're busy trying to figure out, okay, how is this shot going to look while we're on the phone with them being creative. Whereas you could use the AI itself to be that thinker to say, okay, the clients really kept stressing this right here, down here. I think this needs to be part of the deliverables or part of the video to make sure we're honing in on this particular demographic, if that's the case may be, without really focusing so much on the creative, but just focusing more of the nuts and bolts of what they want in the video. Number 3 is using AI as a project manager. And this by far is one of the best things that I actually did as far as when I started getting really deep into AI and really start understanding the things and how it can actually help me and not just, me search like a recipe or search like, how do I do something? It's the project management. And usually how I do this, and I can make a separate video on this, on how I made an AI bot in my ChatGPT for this particular client. That's the key. It is for the particular client. You can have an overall framework with different bots that you have in your ChatGPT based off different parts of your business. But what I use it for is the agent for this particular client, for this particular video or particular contract. Why? What I found is that sometimes chat may have a hard time recalling things. It's getting a lot better, but it may mix things up. It may pull something from here and here from your business, and then it may think that's what the client wants. I make this particular bot itself based off the conversations that I had with the client, based off the contract that we have signed with the agreed deliverables, also, as well as the agreed timeline for the video and any logistics that we may have. Everything gets fed into there because now that's really just training it to be the brains of this entire contract or video scope. Now, if it's something really small, like I'm doing 2 or 3 reels, I really don't do that because it's really not that in depth. You can kind of handle it, but I'm talking about if this is part of a major rollout, if we're dealing with major sponsors, multiple locations, this is where the AI bot or agent itself, I keep saying bot, you can say bot, really comes in, because that's where it's honing in on the things that we specifically need. So what I usually do there is, again, I'll name the bot. I'll load everything in, all the conversations, like I said from before, and then use that as any questions that I may have, because it's on my phone, it's on my computer. And if anybody is, interacting with me, I could just say, hey, what questions do you have? And we can use that bot as the project manager, meaning, hey, today we are filming and we're supposed to be filming in, let's say, Chicago. What were the deliverables for Chicago and who do we need to film with? Again, it's on the spot, especially if you're managing multiple clients. This is one easy way to make sure you're not trying to just recall from memory, but you're actually just recalling using AI to make sure it says, okay, what did we film? What do we need to film? What's the angle in the Chicago area? And what do we need to make sure we accomplish today? Sometimes I'm doing that on the plane when I'm flying in. Even though I know we had the conversation saying, hey, I'll be not landing at 9, I'll grab the rental at 10, at 11:30, I should be on site. I'm asking the questions like, okay, when I get on site, what is it do we need? What do we need? Who do we need to look for first? And it'll kind of it'll spit it out because it has all this rich information in the conversation, in the deliverables that you're going to deliver, and also in the contract. So this is where the project management part comes into play. And not only would it just help you with that portion on the front end, it's going to help you during the entire contract and also afterward when it's time to deliver those deliverables, because you can just ask, hey, we've already delivered, 4 reels, 2 long form videos. What else do we have? And they say, hey, based off your contract, you'll have this amount left, and to keep a tally of that as well. And there's some extra things that I could do as far as like putting things on the calendar, putting different checkpoints on your calendar or your business's calendar, just to make sure that you're remaining on task. That's the one thing I like. Now, sending alerts and such like that, trying to get to that point, I'll figure that out. When I figure it out, I'll let you guys know. Now, number 4 is using AI for interview questions when you're on scene. And this has helped me out big time because a lot of times I may be interviewing a person that was not in the scope and they just happened to be available. The VP was available today. The VP really wants to be part of this project. You're not going to say no. You're going to bump somebody else and get the VP in the seat, right? I know that's what I'll do. So usually I'm just asking them while we're setting up or while they're getting, touched up or they're getting their suit jacket on and such. I'm going back to chat, back to my bot and say, hey, looks like we have the VP of operations here today. And we're going to interview them and incorporate them in the video. We're going to pivot, but right now I need some interview questions to ask the VP based off the conversation that we've had and based off the scope of this project. We need some questions for the VP that will guide us to the overall North Star of this video. And I say, hey, just give me about 4. And from there, it's not just pulling questions out the air. It's not pulling just random things like saying, what makes this company great compared to others. No. It's pulling like from the history and the conversation that we've had with the person that wants this video done. And that is where I believe by far AI has helped me so much, because they're questions that actually make sense to the video. It actually makes sense. And when it comes down to editing and cutting, you actually have something good to cut from. Instead of saying, well, that question really doesn't apply here, you actually have questions that do apply, and you can actually include those in the video. So another thing that it does too is the people that you do have to interview, it makes it so much easier for you just to have that same list of questions. Once you solidify those 4 or 5 questions, say, hey, these framework of questions are what we're going to ask all the students, and to make sure you commit this to memory. So every time we have a student in the chair, when I say, hey, just recall the questions for students, I already have those questions for students. Everybody has the same thing. So it really just helps you out with that rather than getting random questions here and there, because you always have to remember, if you're a videographer, you know this, you're kind of shooting for the edit. Yes, you're shooting for the feel, creative direction, but it's also for the edit. And finally, the last thing that it helps me do is the storyboarding and creative direction. And I said something on the top of this video here talking about the storyboard and the creative direction. I'm not saying that it's completely replacing me. No, I'm not saying that at all, because again, you still need that human touch regardless what anyone says. But I ask it to help guide me, meaning I will give it my overall theme as far as what I feel or what I'm really feeling internally for this video, based off the conversations that we had, based off the pain points that it pulled out for me, the overall vibe and feel for that video. And to say, hey, this is what we're looking at. I need you to look at this and tell me where can we improve. It's more just like tweaking the process, like getting you back on the rails just a little bit, and just to improve the quality of the creative direction on the video and also the storyboard storyboarding in the video, especially when, like I just mentioned from before, you have somebody else that jumped into the mix or with the interviews, or, you know, for the behind the scenes that you're filming. It helps with the storyboarding on that because it helps you pivot and still keep a cohesive story. I can't stress that enough. Like, a lot of times it may happen when you may get this person, this person, this person, you're trying to throw it together in the edit, or your editor is, and they have no idea how to get this person inside there. Like, this makes no sense. Like, where does he come in? Or where does she come in? So with the storyboard and using AI for that, again, you're just talking this whole thing out. You're saying what just happened today and where can we pivot our entire storyboard, you know, to make sure that we're shooting for this now with this person's in. But it also helps you to say, hey, moving forward, now that we have this person in, what's another piece, or what's another angle that we can actually film the next set or the next scene with the next set of students or next set of employees or whatever it is that the video that you're doing, to make sure that we're incorporating this person that just jumped in with this new set of videos that we need to film. It just literally just helps everything out as far as like you moving forward with your entire video scope. You're still the director here, you're still shooting it here, and you're still providing your client with what they want based off that North Star of what they're looking for, but you're just using AI to kind of just help you out to make sure, okay, hey, we're going to keep on these rails here, and we just make sure we're going down the line, you know, just straight and narrow, rather than we're just going everywhere and the video really has no substance or context to it, because it just no longer makes sense. So hopefully these help. These are my 5 tips as far as AI for videographers. Hopefully next video, I'll be going a little bit more into detail as far as how I create the bot, or the questions that I'm specifically asking my AI program to get these things, to pull these things out of the conversation. Because believe it or not, you do have to train your AI to make sure that it's pulling the things that you want and commit those things to memory. And I can show you how to do it. If anything of this that you guys need a little bit more in-depth explanation on, just drop it down in the comments, and I'll definitely try my hardest to make sure I get back to you guys, or create another video just based off that. Because again, AI is here. I understand it. Trust me, I know a lot of people just think that, you know, it's going to take everything that they're doing, but you got to remember, if you're still on video, you're still a photographer, you still need that physical person to go out and do these things. Instead of running from AI, just use AI right now to excel what you're doing right now, to make you stand out from any competition that you have at this point, with the speed, with the clarity, with the focus on the video and the overall theme that the client wants, and also with those deliverables. Because when they see that video and it wows them, then they're gonna be calling you back. Until the next one, peace.